Today I want to talk about the difference between your mind needing a rest and your body needing a rest. And we know that there is a difference, but do you? Okay? Like when you're tired, when you're sore, when you're physically tired and belted, you just need to sit down. I'm exhausted. I need a rest. But the mental anguish we go through for our job and the mental load we have, that needs a different type of rest. And I think it's really important to distinguish the difference, okay? So when you fall in a heap in a chair, you've had a big week or whatever, it almost feels like it's a physical exhaustion. And it might be. It might be your nervous system like firing up and going absolutely haywire. But the reality is your mind is buzzing. There's too many tabs open. You've had too many neurons firing every which way, and it just needs a rest. So I'll give you an example. I just went to the snow. And I really, up until I went away for a week, you know what it's like. You got a big holiday booked and you want to get everything lined up and done and executed and tied off before you go so that you don't have to deal or worry about that stuff because you really want to switch off. So that was me. You know, I've had one of the biggest months in a long time. I was just saying, like we've just come back from Shape up on the Gold Coast for a couple of days. I had a 100K month. I've been at the snow. We've rolled out the next 6 months for Lone Recruiter in terms of some of these extra things we're going to be doing, including a webinar and a national tour. We've done a lot, okay? And so I was getting to a point where I'm like, I really need this rest. So I went to the snow. Now, if you've ever been to the snow, you know that that's anything but a rest. It is get up, you're at the first lift, it's like 8:30 in the morning, freezing cold. You go up the mountain and you flog the crap out of your body for the entire day. And if you're anything like me, you squeeze absolutely everything out of that. I was the first one up and the last one off the mountain for a whole week. And I can handle that. That's fine. And I remember getting back to the office. And I loved every moment of it. But I remember getting back to the office and someone said, "Are you rested? How do you feel?" And I looked at Beth and I said, "Physically, my body is not rested whatsoever. I've had my abs were just so like tight and my legs were a bit stiff." I said, "But mentally, I am 150,000% relaxed. I was in absolute heaven. The snow is my happy place. I'm amongst the trees, I'm amongst the snow, and I had this ability to completely switch off. And in that switching off, my brain was able to rest. It almost felt like it was swollen. Do you know that feeling where you've worked so hard or you've made too many calls or you've had to do so much that your brain almost feels like, it's just not enough room for it to operate anymore. It feels swollen. That's a thing. Like there's just too much happening. It needed time to cleanse itself. And in having this rest and recreational time away from the desk, away from the phone calls, the clients, the deadlines, all that sort of stuff, it actually got a whole week's worth of time to just decompress. I didn't think about much. I really didn't. I just did the snowboarding stuff. So physically, I was completely drained. I was so physically drained. But because my mental state had a chance to decompress and relax, I've actually come back with such crystal clear, we'll call it crystal clear clarity. You know, my brain has got that ability to go high definition again. Coming into it, it was starting to get foggy, static. It was starting to not fire properly. And post-trip, physical, abuse trip of the snow, it just feels so much better. And it's really important to know those differences because I can still feel tired, but I don't have mental fogginess. I don't have that mental tiredness that you feel. So how do you know? And so what I want to do with this episode is how do you know that if it's physical or if it's mental? I know I've done stuff on this before, but this was just a nice analogy. I was at Shape the last couple of days. I won't tell you who I sat next to. It was a very prominent person within the recruitment sector, and it was at the end of day one. It was a huge day, and this person had been running around organising the crap out of everything all day. And I actually sat next to me and turned to them, and we're having a bit of a chat. He just looked so relaxed. And one of the speakers said, "I want you to turn to the person next to you and tell them in 30 seconds your 3 favorite things to do. What are the 3 favorite things that you love doing?" And so I said my things. Can't remember what I said because I've got so many. I picked a few. One of them was gardening. I said, "I love gardening. I actually love gardening." He said something along the lines of, "Do you know what sounds so silly? I really enjoy doing the dishes at the moment." What do you mean you enjoy doing the dishes? And he said, "Oh, yeah, there's just something like really relaxing about doing the dishes." which, I said, when was the last time you took a break? He said, oh God, I think like 11 months ago I took a break. And so in that moment, it was very obvious to me that he needed a break. And I said to him, do you think you're enjoying actually doing the dishes, or do you think it's the fact that you get a moment to yourself and it's really mind-numbing work? It's actually a moment for your brain to have a little breather. And he just looked at me and went, that's exactly what it is. Oh my God, you're 100% correct. And I said, furthermore to that, the job we have as recruiters or running busy schedules or whatever, it always feels like there's a never-ending to-do list. You do one item, there's 5 more things to do. Nothing ever gets done, or it does get done, but it always feels like you're trying to execute and complete things at any given time, and sometimes it's hard to see end-to-end things getting done. Is maybe doing the dishes, like you start a process, you get to the middle of the process, end it in a short period of time, get your little dopamine hit, you get that time to switch off. Oh my God, you're so right, Brett. So he had this epiphany right next to me in the chair. And again, so if you find yourself feeling relaxed doing the dishwashing, or feeling relaxed doing the gardening, I mean, this is normal things to do. If it feels almost too good, then maybe you do need a break. We all need a break at some point, and it's okay. And the reality is you should take a break. There's this, I've always said, like, I love yoga, but I never do it because I've got this weird thing where I just think, it's so boring. There's so much effort to do it. Like it's in lieu of a workout or whatever. But I always do a yoga workout and go, that's amazing. And I think everyone has that same sort of mentality to breaks. When they're busy or they're, really pushing for a goal or they're ambitious, the last thing on their mind is a break. The last thing on their mind is, I should stop and have a breather. No, I want to sprint. I want to fucking push myself. And I think we're all guilty of doing that. So I'm here to say have a break. I'm here to say every couple of months, have a break. Is it, or design a break so that you don't get to that point. I've talked about that as well. So for me, I work a 4.5-day week. I'm actually recording this on a Friday. It's 12:30. In half an hour, I'm going to lunch with my wife, and I'm not going to see work for the rest of the day. For me, that really helps shorten my week. And then every 3 months, I take a week off, and I might go somewhere. I might go to the snow, or I might just have a staycation, tell everyone I'm going somewhere and not actually go anywhere, and turn my phone off and enjoy my home and just relax. Whatever it looks like for you, I think you really need to allow yourself to do it, because we know, and there are countless scientific studies that sleep, rest, recovery will only make you better when you're at your desk. And if you want to be that sort of person that when they're at their desk and you want to wear it like a badge of honor, like when I'm at my work, I grind hard, execute, I get so much done. Great. I mean, that's a good trait. Okay, but I'm telling you now, there's a life expectancy to be able to do that day in, day out, week in, week out. At some point, you will lose efficiency. You will lose, effectiveness at your desk, because all of a sudden your brain's starting to get foggy. So if your brain's foggy, if you're feeling mentally exhausted, if you find yourself doing the dishes and that's a really relaxing thing to do, well, maybe you need to think a little bit bigger and think, maybe it's time for a bit more of a meaningful rest, because we all know once our mind is rested and the brain has had an ability to process everything is there, taking out the trash, there's a thing called mental dishwashing, I think, that happens when you sleep and when you rest. Like it shakes out all of the nonsense in your brain. You can then go and operate at your best optimal levels. And that's it. That's what this episode is about today. The mind needs a rest as much as the body needs a rest, and I don't think they're the same types of rest a lot of the time. Okay? Like, share, subscribe. It helps us grow. We have a webinar coming up with the RCSA, and I would invite anyone listening to this to join it on September the 16th at 11 a.m. The RCSA and the Lone Recruiter are teaming up. We are joining forces to provide an online webinar. What is it about? I've got to remember this. We are doing essentially a goal-setting piece. Okay, it's 45 minutes, and you might roll your eyes, goal set, whatever. This is going to be phenomenal. I have done an episode on this on the podcast, but this is going to be a 45-minute one, and it's going to be a Q&A at the end. And what I want to do is I want to take any recruiter out there who's stuck, any recruiter out there who is doing well but wants to do better. Any recruiter who you think could get to the next level. So you might be a manager of a team and you might say, I've got a really good team, but I do want them to get to the next level. Or they were really good. They've got a history of being very good, but they're a little bit stuck. These are the people I want here, okay? I think it's a token amount. It's like $20, $30 or something. I don't even have the price in front of me. We'll put the links and details below in this episode. Come along and join us. It's online. It's going to be a blast. We are going to link purpose, your purpose as a recruiter, to profits. And we want you to have a really healthy relationship with that. What we intend for you to get out of this is that fire in the belly. We want you to get that sort of get up and go without your manager having to whip you. You know, we want your staff, if you've got staff, send them along, because what we want is for them to just be self-perpetuating energy. You know, less energy for the manager to whip, like just people who go, I'm here because of this. I'm here because I understand completely. I'm connected. My commission structure is completely connected to my why. And all of a sudden, you just get this explosion of energy. That's what this is going to be about. So join us at that webinar, okay? Share, like, helps us grow. As always, have an amazing day, and may all your deals come true.